All right, Igor, I'm excited to put you on the hot seat now.
Of course.
Get to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Yeah, recently you published this article about spiral dynamics, which I found really intriguing. But I want to start off with just what is spiral dynamics?
So essentially, it's a system that is built, like the foundations of the system were laid out by Professor Graves,
Okay.
who was working with students. He was teaching like philosophy, different systems of organizing environment. Is it like capitalism, Marxism, like different philosophical systems? And at the end of his studies, when students studied everything, they would ask him, Professor, we studied all those systems. Which one is correct? What is the truth? And he didn't have a good answer. And instead of coming up with a theory, he started a big research project that was continued by others, which was based on learning what are the cultural like value systems that all people have. And that kind of evolved into this notion of spiral dynamics, so that each level of a spiral essentially includes the previous level, and it's like a DNA. So those pieces build together and make like a culture system, organizational system, a personal value system.
Got it. So in your article, you mentioned that it's, kind of very different than the Adam Grant and Simon Sinek kind of, modern day theorists that are these bite-sized pieces of, leadership theory. What what specifically, resonates with you about the spiral dynamics model?
I think what I meant in the article, not necessarily that spiral dynamic is so, as its system is so evolved, but that it allowed me to have a label on higher level thinking, like yellow or turquoise. And the idea is that now I can ask ChatGPT, give me some yellow books on leadership, on management. And it gives books that offer a more systematic perspective or more integrative perspective. And honestly, I would never have come across guys like David Clutterbuck, uh, who is a British guy, but he writes about mentorship and coaching. But actually, it's about like leadership and it's about management. So it's very multidisciplinary and complex. And I think I love Simon Sinek. I love Adam Grant. They do have some systemic elements, but the beauty of their work is that they take a segment of like an element and they make it very easy to digest, even
Yep.
if you don't have a lot of time and you have a very deep understanding. So I think there is value to both kind of approaches, but I was hungry for something like
Yep.
larger, bigger. And thanks to
Yep.
spiral dynamics, I know how to find this stuff.
Okay. And when you ask ChatGPT about yellow, it knows that it's spiral dynamics, or you have to give it spiral dynamics?
I give it like it knows spiral dynamics very well, and I was even curious why. It's like such a niche thing,
Right.
and it said that it's niche, but it's mentioned by a lot of different, like
Okay.
more mainstream publications. So it knows those levels, and it can estimate how much of different color code is in each work, and then it kind of gives you the books or articles that you will more likely find interesting if this is the level. Like, what is it? 7 Habits of Highly Effective
Right.
People
Covey.
would be by Covey would be very kind of blue and orange, for example.
So with this color scheme, uh, Disc has colors, Reach has colors, Insight has colors, Strength Finder has colors, and oftentimes they have the same colors, but the colors mean different things. How do you decipher, you know, or make certain that people don't associate a color with a label and then, mislabel things because the models all have different associations for the colors?
That's a good question. But back to this, how do I tell ChatGPT that this yellow means something? So it's kind of coming together with the name of the framework, but also you can use numbers, right? You can use numbers, but numbers don't resonate as much. They're not as emotional. Like
Mhm.
colors, they have something to them. They're more memorable. So that's
Okay.
why people use them.
So you keep coming back to yellow.
Hmm.
Give me kind of a deeper dive on what does the color yellow in the spiral dynamics model represent and how does that play into kind of leadership?
So I think the first six colors from beige to green, it's like beige, which is like survival, purple, which is like tribal community, red, which is like power, independence, authority, orange, which is like American dream, success, and green, which is community and meaning. This levels, this is where I think our societies are right now to a larger degree. And this is the first level in this methodology of spiral dynamics. This is like the evolution of humans where we are right now. Different groups are at different levels. Yellow is kind of an emerging thing.
Okay.
You can't say which society is yellow. There is no yellow society. There are people who are kind of in that space. And what it does, it integrates all previous levels and
So
is
it's a
a
higher level. So there, it's a
it's
hierarchy.
it's a hierarchy, yes. So each high level kind of builds on top of the other. But yellow, unlike the previous ones, it really understands where each level is coming from. And for example, if you are green, you can come and try to, I don't know, teach some tribal people how to preserve the environment or whatever, which is completely disconnected. There are a couple of levels missing. Or when like Soviet Union collapsed and a lot of people with orange mentality came from the West to kind of build capitalism in Russia, but there was no blue. And
Yeah.
in essence, like you get more red, you didn't get to orange because there was no layer of order, stability, truth
Yeah.
in place. So I think yellow understands that this complexity, and yellow is built around systems thinking, multidisciplinary approach, where you understand not only drivers of change, you understand the limitations, you understand the complexities of the systems, but you can also cut through those complexity and be very simple, like a good strategy. It like planning is analytical,
Yeah.
and sometimes we expect planning to generate strategy. It doesn't, because when you plan, you kind of analyze, you break things down. Strategy is piecing things together. So to me, yellow is a very strategic kind of color. It allows you to integrate different disciplines together. And when it
Yeah.
comes to leadership, management, or personal growth, it kind of pushes us beyond simplistic approaches, solutions.
Got it. So how have you, or how do you think you can integrate this spiral dynamics thinking into the work you do with clients at group management?
So what I've started doing at the beginning of some like strategic sessions, I'm showing models. And this is from a yellow thinker, Chris Agiris. Again,
Oh,
people who were in organizational design master's program know of him.
yeah.
Few other people do.
Okay.
But he has this model one, model two thinking. Model one, which is I'm right. Everybody who disagree with me, they have poor motives. Like I'm not disclosing
Okay.
my underlying thinking. So I have two slides. One that has this model one thinking, and slide two, which talks about model two thinking, which is like transparency, openness. And I show two slides to people at the beginning of the workshop, and I'm asking them, which model would we like to use today?
Hmm.
And it kind of creates this level of self-awareness. And I'm the first to admit that I tend to like go to model one often if I'm not careful. And it elevates the
Yeah.
conversation in the room.
Yeah. It's interesting because it gets me thinking about just the idea about labeling theory. When you label somebody as something, then they start to assume some of those characteristics, sometimes for better and for worse. So if model one labels them as closed minded, they will be closed minded. But if model two labels them as, seeing alternatives and being open minded, then that's
What happens?
probably,
So this is a very practical thing I've started doing recently and to good results. So people laugh at this and they
okay.
enjoy it, and we have a better dynamics in the room.